What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new episode. Coach Joe here with Heartletics.com. I got my man, Coach Jimmy, in the house, and my brother from another mother, Coach Mark. And I'm very blessed for these guys because every dog has their day. Today happened to be my day where, just things trigger you, you get in a bad mood. And I'm very blessed and grateful to have these guys I can vent to, right? And I feel like every guy should have people in their corner that they can, talk to. And, that kind of brings us what today's topic is going to be all about. And that's going to be family balance. And, we're going to be kind of going into the pros, some of the cons as well, where it's like, man, you're trying to level up, but maybe people aren't kind of like, getting to your speed, or maybe you're just kind of, leveling up too much where you're kind of missing out on the finer things of life. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. And this is going to be a good one, especially if you feel like you're on this course of, path of trying to better yourself in life, but you just don't know how, and you feel like you want some more support. This one is going to give you guys a lot of value. So for starters, let's dive right in. Jimmy, do you mind talking a little bit about family balance? And for somebody that, maybe they just need some help. And I know we were kind of talking about before on the podcast, a little bit more about your story.
Sure, absolutely. And guys, I'm going to be, completely honest here. I'm going to get real and, no cookie stuff,
Yeah.
no sugarcoating things. So I started this journey. I was 430 pounds, and the reason why I wanted to do this journey is obviously for myself and to be healthy, but also for my family and, to be there for them. And another reason is because I had led them into bad habits, and I wanted to fix that, and I wanted to show new habits. So those were my reasons for starting this journey. When I began this journey, right away, I started to see success every week, success after success after success. I'm leveling up every week. I'm learning, I'm gaining knowledge. That first 12 weeks, nobody in Heartletics has ever had the success that I've had. And the reason for that success is because I committed to it. I went all in. I gave everything to it. And I think along that process in those first 12 weeks, I was, of course, doing this is a little bit of selfishness, but I think I lost the other parts of why I signed up for this journey, as far as, bringing my family along with me while I'm leveling up. I failed to do that in those first 12 weeks. And I think after, going into the second phase and the mindset phase, learning, that's a whole different thing. The physical, the nutrition, and gaining that knowledge is priceless. But when you start getting into the mind and learning about yourself, and it's just on another level. So you're leveling up even more. But I feel during that process, I realized, things were brought to my attention and by my family, and that, I was kind of neglecting certain things. And, I took that and I took it in and I reevaluated. I said, why did I do this journey? I remembered why I started this journey. I need to lead. Part of this is learning how to lead. I'm a father. I'm a man. I need to lead my family.
Yeah.
So, of course, and this is another mistake I made, which hopefully you guys can learn from. So I'm like, all right, I gotta help my family make these changes, and gung ho, and like, all right, we have to do this, let's do this, do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't working. And the reason why that is because you can't push things onto people.
Yep.
If someone were to push, people tried to push things on me for my whole life. And it wasn't until I realized it myself that I got help and made the changes. So I had to think of a different way to do this. How can I get my family to, want to come along this journey with me and level up? As far as, my wife is one thing. She's an adult and she need, I can offer help and give her suggestions and things, but she has to want to do that and go on her own. Kids, that's a different story. I'm their father. An example for them, and I need to not only show them, but I need to guide them in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So some things, like my oldest son, he's 14 and he's overweight. He's a big kid, and because he's followed after me. So some things, ways to help him try to, I think it would be like, okay, my oldest son is Gavin. Gavin, well, let's go out and play basketball today, or let's go do something active and get him to be more active. Hey, he plays football, so why don't we go to the gym and start lifting so you can get stronger for football? Do things in that way where it's an interest to them, to where it's not like, oh, dad wants me to go do a workout. And they're just not interested in that. So you have to connect with your kid, bond with that, try to make it a bonding experience. Like we bond over sports, me and my sons, and you turn that into activity. Let's go out and throw the ball around. Let's go play basketball, whatever it may be, just being active. And then as far as nutritional, because the nutrition is absolutely horrible. My kids, I'll be dead honest. McDonald's and this and that. So trying to make that transition is not easy. It's very, very difficult because, as well as I do, that when you're eating that kind of food all the time, it's kind of like a drug. You get addicted to it.
100%, man. And I was just going to say that I'm glad that you did, where it's just like people don't understand. Like, first off, it's a habit, right? Like, oh, it tastes good, right? So you get those positive endorphins, right? And it's just like you want more and more and more of it. And then you become addicted to it like a drug. And then what happens? The minute you can't get it, right, you get those withdrawals. You're like, oh man, like I don't like this. And then, it's just, it gets hard. So I understand. Continue, brother.
Yeah. So, you can't really go into it saying, all right, we're not eating McDonald's anymore. No, or no pizza. We're eating this way and that's it. And that's it. Yeah, you can try that, but it's just not going to work.
You can't go
because
turkey.
Yeah, because I tried that and it never worked for me either. And it wouldn't work. Still, I still need that 80-20. I need it. But they're kids, man. You got to realize they're kids and they've seen one way of eating and living for most of their life. And now you're trying to change that, and they don't understand why. So you kind of have to guide them and do it in some subtle ways. Like, okay, we're getting McDonald's. You usually have, a large fry and, nuggets and whatever else. Okay, so why don't we get a medium fry? Why don't we only have 10 nuggets?
Yeah.
Things like that. Well, I'm gonna get a soda. Okay, well, why don't we get a water and we'll put in some Crystal Light and make it a fruit punch?
Yeah.
You got to think outside the box a little bit and do it, because if you just say, no, you can't have that, that's all they're going to want. And they're going to cry and cry and cry. And you can do that, but it's hard to see your kids, because especially when it's your fault that they're like that, to, cry. So it's much better to gradually and try to just put things into their head to get them to start thinking a little differently about food, and, that it's okay to eat that, but let's not overindulge. Let's not eat 20 nuggets. Let's eat 10 nuggets. Let's have a medium fry, things like that, and just kind of guide them. And if they insist, be like, okay, today, we're just going to have 10 nuggets. We're not going to have 20 today. Okay. That's just the way it has to be. And, you just try your best to, and if that doesn't work, you try something else. You can't give up. I mean, I'm still dealing with the change. My family is not completely on board with everything I do. And, I kind of it would be nice to just, oh yeah, I'll follow you, Dad. Let's do that. But you got to remember, all the years of bad habits that were created, and you just have to find ways. You can't give up. You keep working, you keep learning, you better yourself. Best way to help them is to better yourself every day, 1% better every day. And as long as you're doing that and you think about things in a smart way and just trying to take it slow and really think about it and think about them and what they've been through. Put yourself in their shoes. Like Coach Joe likes to say, you got to sometimes put yourself in the other person's shoes, because you don't know what that other person is thinking or going through. Sometimes you got to put yourself there, and just get better, just keep improving on yourself, keep leveling up, and do the best you can to bring those people with you.
Yeah, man, that's really solid advice, right? Honestly, and like hearing that, first off, I got a lot of respect for you, Jimmy, because like think in terms of this too, brother. You started off this conversation by saying like I led my kids, I led my wife here, like that was on me, my bad habits. And then like you said it again at the end, right? Like, hey, I'm still struggling with this. But dude, think about this. How many guys out there say like, oh, I'm not struggling with this? How many guys out there like don't even think that it's a problem because they don't even see it, right? Like you saw like, hey, my kids are falling through my bad eating habits. Like I gotta focus on me. I gotta make a change. And you broke it down beautifully. I actually wrote down a few notes, man. First off, I loved how you said like you can't force it upon anyone. A little background, right? Like my dad and my mom forced me to play baseball my entire life. And here's the thing, right? I'm confident in all things. I'm really confident when it comes to baseball. Like I was a beast, right? I had to do like these sports competitions and all this stuff. Like it was great. I was an amazing pitcher, right? My parents thought I was going to go to MLB, but here's the thing: they forced me to do that so much. I hate baseball with a passion, like complete. I
That's
will
usually
never
how it
watch
works.
baseball. Yeah, like every time they're asking me, like, "Oh, you want to go see like the baseball game?" Absolutely not. Like I could care less about that sport now because I was forced so much to where I just despise it. Another thing that you said that stuck out was about making like different choices. You can't go cold turkey. And guys tuning in, hear that again. You cannot go cold turkey. You cannot go cold turkey, right? So if you think cutting out carbs is the best way to burn body fat, guess what? You're eventually going to fall. If you think like telling your kids like, hey, you can't have sugar, right? Go cold turkey, whatever, they're eventually going to fall. It all stems with you. And Jimmy, you did the right thing by, hey, why don't we make some modifications to what we're already getting at McDonald's, right? Like my son, like, and my wife even, like, they love McDonald's, right? But I'm like, hey, why don't we go to Chick-fil-A instead? Right? Like, hey, you're getting your nuggets, but I can at least get mine grilled, right? So it's just like one of those things because, at the end of the day, I'm kind of similar to you, Jimmy, where, hey, maybe they do want to eat that and I can't force them to make any different. Like it's their whatever that they want. I'm just going to opt out, right? No one's going to force a gun in my head and say, well, I need to eat the McDonald's, so maybe I'll eat something different, right? And then the last thing, what you said was, it all starts with you. Meaning like, hey, at the end of the day, like if you want, your son Gavin to go play football with you, like it's about you doing the actions first and then following along. It's the same thing with my son. Just a few weeks ago, I was begging him. I'm like, Oakley, let's go outside. Let's play some basketball, man. Because I love that sport, right? So I'm like, hey, let's go outside and play some basketball, right? Weather's nice. Be active, right? Burn some calories. And he's like, nope, I just want to stay inside, right? Play on my tablet. And I'm like, cool, totally fine. But I'm going to go outside and shoot some hoops. So I went out there, turned on some music, had a blast. And probably within 10 minutes, honestly, here goes my son, right? Coming right outside, playing basketball with me. And it's all about what I had to do first. Mark, right? Let's kind of dive into your story. A little bit different, right? But still the same thing about this balance, the family balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, kind of to go off of what Jimmy was, kind of ending his, story with the 1% better. I mean, I've kind of realized, over the past little bit of time that, there's some areas that I still am figuring out as far as balance and trying to be 1% better each day. I started off my journey with Heartletics, to be there for my family. That was one of the big, whys. I lost my dad. He was 57, and I kind of felt like I was heading down that path, and I wanted to turn things around and also be, more present with the family. And I did. I really, I'm more active. I'm more, able to, participate with them, to guide them, lead them. But at the same time, we talk about the positive aspect of being selfish. And I think that's true. You do have to take care of yourself to be able to take care of others. But you need to learn that balance. And that's kind of where I'm learning now because, my wife, Jen, she joined me on my Heartletics journey, which was great. But, she did not, she is forever grateful to Heartletics. She's still progressing, but she didn't take to it with the same passion that I did necessarily. So, now she's going through some tough times. She lost her mom a little while back, and there's a lot on her plate, just as far as emotionally, of course, but also in the real world, paperwork and houses and things like that. And I need to reevaluate being present with her when she needs me. And I think that's an important, lesson that everyone could learn, not necessarily just about my specific situation, but in general, it's important to be present in the current moment. I've kind of realized like, it's something that I preach a lot or speak about a lot, like, right? Being aware, breath work, being in the now. But a lot of times I'm realizing that I'm caught up in my head thinking about what's coming next, what I need to do, what I want to take care of. And I mean, this is going to sound silly, but it's like, I think a perfect example. Jen comes home from work and all the kitchen cabinets are open. And, she's like, you're home all day working. I don't understand why you can't just close a cabinet. And it's like, not that I'm too lazy to close a cabinet. It's that I open the cabinet, I take out whatever it is I'm thinking at, and my brain is going, okay, now I need to go X, Y, and Z, and I walk away.
I got it.
So I've really, trying to readdress that, what am I doing now? Right? Not what do I need to do 10 minutes from now? And then the same thing, like, she needs help cleaning out her mom's house, and there were a few times where, like I was with her, but was I really with her? Like I was there, but was I focusing on what needed to be done? So, when we talk about sustainability, right, I think that's a really important theme for Heartletics. You also, not just the sustainability of, the habits that we take on, that we learn, and because that's key, and the fact that those habits are sustainable is huge, but we need to integrate them to the point where they are habits, right? And that therefore they're just kind of something that we do automatically, and we can still focus on what's going on currently around us, not like be dwelling on those things. And that's an important lesson that I feel like I am still taking to. It's a bit like, the theme of this podcast, right? It's a balancing act. So I really want to be there for Heartletics. I really want to be there for my clients. It's hugely important to me. It's something I'm very passionate about. But I also need to make sure I'm there when it's not Heartletics time, when I'm there for my family, not, mentally somewhere else when I'm with them.
Yeah.
And,
So
yeah.
what would you say if somebody's in your shoes right now? Like,
So
what would you say to kind of help them out if they're struggling with that balance?
I think one of the things that I'm, that like a practice that I've sort of taken to lately that I think is kind of helping me is, just stop, a couple times throughout the day, right? Or as many as you need. And, it's like, who am I? What am I doing now? And where am I? Right. And it's like, that just kind of grounds you in the, like, oh, wait, let me get out of the things that I'm thinking about for later or tomorrow and refresh my memory about what am I doing right now that I need to address.
Yeah.
It's important to be in that present.
No, that's solid, man. And I'm really glad that you touched base on that, Mark, because me and you we're in the same boat, right? Full-time Heartletics. So and you see it, me and you talk every day, right? Goals, ambitions, right? Where we're taking the business, but we can't lose sight, right? Like I deal with the same struggles of like finding that balance with the family, but I think this can also go ahead and kind of share with somebody that's listening, whether you're a brand new listener and you're not familiar with Heartletics. and maybe, me or one of the coaches sent you this because we're conversating with you about your health and fitness goals, and maybe you're having a hard time, and maybe we feel like this could be providing value, or maybe even like there's somebody that is inside of our coaching program right now. I think the big understanding and the biggest takeaway is like, at the end of the day, okay, Heartletics isn't the meal plans. It's not the workouts. It's not even just like, the guidance and the knowledge. It's the fact that, hey, we're all real guys just trying to help each other out, right? And this isn't just like, oh, cool, let's sign up for a coaching program. Let's have some meal plans. Let's have some workouts, and let's look good with our shirts off. Like, that's the inevitable. It's going to happen. But the reality is that, like, life's always going to throw curveballs. Jimmy, completely different curveball from somebody like Mark, right? Mark, completely different curveball from somebody else that's listening in, or maybe a completely different curveball from somebody that's a client, right? That's currently going through our coaching program right now. And I think like the biggest takeaway is to understand that, you cannot focus on just the physical attributes of bettering yourself. There's a lot there that goes with the emotional side and the mental side. And I think that's why we emphasize so much about the mindset coaching phases, right? I mean, Jimmy, Mark, what do we always talk about? Having a solid morning routine, having down these fundamentals where you can focus on you. So where, I'll say it like this, right? Like, Mark, let's say you never signed up for Heartletics, right? And let's say you were still with your old employer, right? And let's say something bad happened, right? But there was no, emotional or mental of just calming down the situation at hand, no morning routine, all that stuff. Do you think that if, something happened to you in the present state right now compared to something happened to you before Mark 2.0, do you think things would have been handled differently?
Oh, 100%. It's, the old me, first of all, everything went from 0 to 150. It was
Yeah.
like, it's the end of the world, this is a disaster. And now it's like there's a perspective, that things are all relative to each other, and there are values in life that are probably way more important than something that like I always say, is not going to matter in 5 years from now. Why are you spending so much time dwelling on it?
Yeah. And Jimmy, real quick, brother, would you agree?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you guys know, what I'm going through and what I've been through, and
Yeah.
without, making changes and without having support from you guys, that, I don't even know what I'd be. It wouldn't be good. I know that.
So at the end of the day, I want this to be very serious for every coach, for every client, for every listener that's tuning in right now. You are only as strong as your greatest mindset. And so many people, this is why I care so much about mental health organizations, because it gets brushed away under the rug, especially for guys, right? Like, before we start this podcast, I mean, I poured it on you guys, right? And I feel so much better because I had people that I can trust, have people that I can vent to and be like, guys, today's a bad day. I'm pissed off, XYZ, let's just get it. And I didn't care what you guys had to say in return. I just needed to get it off my chest. Well, here's the thing. The reality is, right, whether you're a coach, whether you're a client, whether you're somebody that's listening in, so many times, right, we're fed this, we're dealt with these different situations, right, because we're not focusing on building who we can be mentally, emotionally, to where we just absorb. And then what happens, right? It's like putting a little Mentos into a Coke, right, bottle and twisting on the lid, right? That thing's going to explode, right? And that happens so much with all of us. And it's one of those things, Mark, I'm really glad you kind of talked about this, about taking a full grasp. Where I am right now, the present moment, and then understanding that, like, okay, am I on the course of becoming where I'm destined to be? Awesome. And that's it. That's all we need to understand. If we're 1% better every single day, just like what you say, Jimmy, because here's the reality, guys, like, life's always going to throw curveballs. No matter how far advanced you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, those curveballs just get harder and harder and harder and harder. Jimmy, you mentioned about going through a hard time right now. You got the support of us. Mark, you're always, asking us as well. I just shared with you guys, right? And it helps out the situation so much. So I encourage everybody out there that's listening as we finish things up here. If you're a coach, hey, you got the coach's corner, plain and simple. Everybody is a human. Everybody is faced with negativity. Everybody's faced with all this good wolf, this bad wolf, right? The inner beast versus the inner bitch. And sometimes, right, every dog has its day. Like today, I am not winning today on the scoreboard, right? That is a fact. And over a fact, Halloween party tonight, I'm eating habits way going to be down south, right? Guess what? It's the understanding that, hey, tomorrow's a new day. Let's pick right back up. Okay. If you're a client and something's dealing right now in your life and you feel like, man, this is eating me up on the inside, not here, you got to share that. You got a community group for a reason. You got coaches, you got me, right? You have all these different messaging threads. You just got to be able to share your voice. Like we always say, closed mouth don't get fed. And if you're somebody that's listening for the first time, hear me out. It's great, right? If you're listening because you want to get valuable tips and tricks on how to burn body fat and, improve on nutritional habits and training habits. But at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, that means nothing, completely nothing if you are mentally and emotionally weak. But here's the flip side. If you're mentally, emotionally strong and working on yourself, becoming better in those aspects, I promise you anything, physically, you're going to be a lot stronger as well. So start today. Find some people to talk to. Find some people that resonate with you. There's free Facebook community groups. In fact, we have one. Hey, if you're a guy and you're over the age of 40, join in. Just type in Facebook, right? Or Facebook groups, men 40 plus fat loss coaching by heartletics.com. Find us, join in. We'll accept you in, right? Unless you're a female, then sorry. But regardless, just like have somebody that you can talk to. You need those people in your life because yes, this topic's all about, family balance, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be a balance, and that's the yin to the yang, the good wolf versus the bad wolf. And, sometimes it's going to be hard feeding that good wolf. And sometimes it's also have to be an understanding that, hey, we did feed that bad wolf, but it doesn't mean we have to do that tomorrow. We can start fresh, So a little bit over, or actually right on time here for the podcast. So Mark, Jimmy, I'll actually let you guys, finish things up here the last, 60 seconds or so. Any last minute things that you guys want to say?
Jimmy, you want to go?
Yeah, guys, just like what Coach Joe said, we're all dealing with our own things, and I can't tell you how much it helps to share and to get, everybody here supportive. So use that, take advantage of it. Don't hold it in because it's not good to do that. And it's not going to help you, get better and get rid of it.
For sure. Mark?
Yeah, I mean, communication is key. Whether it's with your coaches, if you're in the program, whether if you're not in the program, if it's with family, friends, don't, be that guy who just holds everything in and stays off on the island by himself, because that's not going to get you anywhere other than lost.
Plain and simple. Couldn't have said it better myself. Guys, I really hope that you guys got some value. Completely different from today's podcast than the other ones, but reality sets in, right? Sometimes somebody's going to need to hear something, and something just kind of, makes that mental switch kind of flip up a little bit. And hopefully, if you're somebody that's struggling with finding out that balance, this episode was giving you guys some value. And if it did, please share this maybe on your Facebook page or with a loved one, and maybe it can help them as well. Guys, as always, this has been Coach Joe, Coach Mark, Coach Jimmy here with Heartletics.com. And I'll talk to you guys.
Go Phillies!
That was great.